the more you can be present, the more you can be mindful, the more you can pay attention on purpose, the better life is. It's a better experience because you get to experience more. Welcome to My Daily Mindset, where you get an inspirational, educational, and motivational message each day to help you live your best life. Welcome to Mindful Monday. As I like to do on Mondays is just kind of talk about mindfulness, because it is, to me, one of the most important traits that we can have as humans. And to me, being mindful is simply just paying attention on purpose. Much easier said than done. But once you learn to organically become mindful, life opens up in a way that I can't even explain. It's a different world that you live in. And how do you do that? You practice mindful meditation, like on a daily basis, consistently. And after a while, you will rewire your brain so that you are mindful. You are living in this sort of existence where you're just sort of paying attention to everything instead of off into what I call la la land, which is the past and the present, which is where most of us live. Anyway, that's mindfulness in a nutshell. What I want to talk to you today about is actually expectations, because I'm not a fan of expectations. And when you can learn to limit your expectations, because to me, if you expect something, most of the time you're let down. A great example of this is like you're going to go see a movie and somebody's like, oh, it's the greatest movie ever. And then you get there and you're like, yeah, it was all right. But you went in with these high expectations, right? Like, oh, it's going to be a great movie. And it might have been a great movie if your buddy didn't tell you, oh, it's a great movie. If you didn't hear anything and you went and saw that same movie, you might have came away and went, well, that was an amazing movie. But because you went in with these expectations, you get let down. And that's what happens a lot of times with expectations. Now, there's a difference between expectations and hope, right? Like you could hope for something, but if you expect something, you're almost sitting there waiting for it to happen to you. And I'm not a fan of that in any aspect of life. I believe we should all be proactive. So how do you, manage your expectations, I guess, is the best way to put it. And for me, it comes back to being mindful, right? So, and this is what I mean by this. In all situations that you go into, whether it's a movie you're going to go to, or it's a meeting, or it's a trip that you're taking, whatever, instead of having these expectations, you want to go into it almost like with that blank sort of sheet that I'm talking about, where you're just being present, right? You're being mindful. And what happens when you go into these situations and you're just being mindful, you're just paying attention, you're just being present. The things that come at you, the experiences that happen are so much more impactful because you're sitting there and you're taking them as they come and not as you expect them to be. And it's a different sort of world and a different sort of, whether it's a movie, a trip, or whatever, it's just a different experience. And it's a much better one because you learn at such a higher level when you do that. So the point is here, don't expect things. Instead, walk into situations and just be present. This is another sort of the more you can be present, the more you can be mindful, the more you can pay attention on purpose, the better life is. It's a better experience because you get to experience more. You're not in this world of expectation where you're, thinking that this is how it should be and then it's not, and then you're in your own head because it's not and it's a disappointment. You're literally there just taking the situation in and learning from it and yourself. And it's a better experience because it's a truer experience. So with all of that said, this week or today, right now, whatever situation you're in, if you have expectations for, maybe later today or this week or something's happening or whatever, try not to go into it with expectations, but instead go in with that, like what I call blank sheet, where you're just walking into the situation and it is what it is. And you take it for what it is and enjoy it for what it is, not for what you expect it to be, but again, for what it actually is. Whether it's a conversation, a movie, a trip, all that kind of stuff, expectations are there to let you down. And so when you live life mindfully and in the present, it's just a much better experience. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys can go in today and this week with less expectations, because you have to learn to not have expectations, because we grow up and our brain is wired to kind of always have expectations for the most part. So again, it's a rewiring, right? That's what we're doing here. That's what I'm talking about most of the time, is we're here to rewire our brain to become the person that we want to be. And that takes some work, and that's where the mindful meditation comes in. So going back to Mindful Monday, if you haven't already, do a little 5-minute mindful meditation session, whether that's thinking about doing your breath work, or, getting on an app, or whatever it is that you do that you like and that you enjoy. Practice a little bit mindful meditation and do it every single day, and you will rewire your brain to become the person you want to be. It's just a fact. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing one. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, this is your life. Live it your way. I appreciate you listening today, and hopefully you found something useful in today's message. And if you did find value, please comment. Also share it with somebody else that may benefit from this. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so that you can get an inspirational, educational, and motivational message from me every single day.